Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to talk about the most original topic in Call of Duty history that nobody else has ever spoken about. The most original Call of Duty topic that there could possibly ever be. Skill-based matchmaking. SBMM. We've heard this before. We were talking about it back in MW 2019 with Infinity Ward's last title. We talked about it in Cold War. Hell, for as bad as Vanguard was, and that wasn't even the biggest problem with that game, there was SBMM in Vanguard. And here in MW2, the beta, we're not even at the full launch yet. And as if there wasn't this much feedback for this game, we have the absolute pleasure of adding SBMM on top of all of that. Now, I do want to get something straight. I've talked about SBMM multiple times here on the channel, and I will say, after a while, I still felt this strict SBMM in most of my games, but I have to be honest, and as much as I want to rip into the devs and into Activision about this, I need to be straight up. Eventually, I just stopped caring about it. Yes, I felt it. Yes, it was annoying, but I didn't feel the need to talk about it, especially back in Vanguard, because these recent CODs are just filled with a lot of issues and a lot of problems. And there are so many other things that need to be addressed. At this point, it's kind of been blindsided a little bit, at least by me. Eventually, it just became part of these new CODs. No matter if you dislike the game or if you do like the game, I'm sure we can agree on this. MW 2019 Part 2 legitimately has a good chance of being at least decent. I already think it's better than Vanguard. To an extent, I think it's better than MW 2019. Is it better than Cold War? You know, there's an argument for it. But really ask yourselves, is that really where you want MW2 to land? No, of course not. And look, so many of us have been giving so much other feedback like Dead Silence and Ninja Perk, footstep audio, the minimap, player visibility, the UI. There are so many problems that we've been discussing here, but some way, somehow, SBMM found a way to get back into the discussion. And I gotta be honest, when I'm playing MW2's beta, I feel SBMM. Can I prove it? No. Can anybody prove it? Not really, but let me tell you, as somebody who's been playing the beta for both weekends, that SBMM is definitely prevalent in this beta, and most likely when the game launches, it'll be no different. I'm sure a lot of you guys have already seen this, but Infinity Ward has already addressed disbanding lobbies, which, if you didn't know, is one of the key components of SBMM in modern Call of Duty. Starting with MW 2019, disbanding lobbies was immediately noticed, and not a lot of people were a fan of it. To this day, I don't think anybody's actually a fan of it. You might find it convenient to have this quick play playlist, but I don't actually think you are a fan of the way that you get disbanded from every single lobby. Now, Infinity Ward said that they're gonna look for a way to give us higher chances of staying into the same lobby, and that's just incredibly vague. I don't understand, like, I think Exclusive Ace even mentioned it. Is this like a 1% chance? Is this a 99% chance? Is it a 50-50? It could be anything, and I think Infinity Ward themselves knows what the actual true right answer is. There should not be disbanding lobbies. That component of SBMM should simply not exist. Now, when it comes to the other components of SBMM, we all know how it works at this point. You know, you do good one game and then you're thrown to the fucking wolves. You do really bad a couple of games and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, the Korean Savage is in your game and you're like, why is this guy in here, you know? We know why. But again, speaking from my experience, I remember my very first game of the beta. I loaded in about 2.5 hours after the beta launched, and everybody in my lobby was level 1, okay? That's respectable. That makes sense because it just came out. Now, I find it kind of hard to believe that every single person in that lobby was exactly level 1. It was their first game on, but we'll say, you know, there was a chance of it happening by coincidence. I shit you not, guys, immediately after this, I got thrown into the fucking den. And I know the sample size on that is incredibly small, but as time went on, I started noticing this pattern of, if I do moderately well, my games are getting harder. If I start to fall back a bit, my games got easier. People were less aware the worse that I did. But then it got to the point where when I started getting used to the game, my lobbies, no matter where I was at, I could be playing Domination, I could be playing TDM, Search and Destroy, I started going against some actual tryhards, some actual sweats, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm a sweat myself. You guys have seen the gameplays time and time again. Even some people in my previous comments have said, damn, like Fooly is going 26 and 18. It's gonna be a bad year. And that just speaks to how SBMM actually is relevant already in a beta. Like I've said, if you're familiar with the channel, yes, I make commentaries, yes, I make rants, I give feedback and a lot of discussion videos, but the gameplay in the background is usually kind of sweaty. I'm usually popping off, I'm usually doing pretty well, and yes, in this game I'm still learning how to play, but in these games, if I'm struggling to go double positive, from my standards at least, that's kind of an issue. On top of that, eventually I started going against YouTubers, and I'm not just talking about, you know, your casual gameplay channel. No, I mean like full-fledged YouTubers, when me and majority of my friends are still learning how to play the fucking game. I gotta be honest, guys. For as much potential as this game does have, if you factor into all of the feedback that Infinity Ward is ignoring, and then you add SBMM on top of it, SBMM could single-handedly ruin the experience and quote-unquote kill MW 2019 Part 2 for a lot of people. But if you're the average casual, your experience is likely not getting tarnished. But if you're playing as a quote-unquote sweat, or if you're even moderately above average, you feel it immediately. Now, I've seen a couple of videos against SBMM, in support of SBMM, and genuinely everything in between, but I gotta say for myself, I'm not a fan of it. Okay, especially not in a beta when I'm trying to learn the game and trying to look for things to talk about for feedback and actually contribute to improving the quality of the game. SBMM kind of just gets in the way and just pisses me off and annoys me. I'm sure a lot of people can relate that SBMM is just pestering. It just gets in the way. It's like a fucking fly. And while everybody has spoken about solutions to SBMM, we need to be honest. SBMM is simply here to stay. Alright, this is a realization that I made back in Vanguard, even back in Cold War. It is here to stay. No matter how much we hate it, no matter how vocal we are, everybody is talking about SBMM. Whether it be the casuals, whether it be the tryhards and the sweats, even the COD pros, even some of your favorite YouTubers. Everybody's talking about SBMM. I mean, good God, SBMM has been trending on Twitter for as long as the MW2 beta has been up. People are annoyed and people are talking about it. And to an extent, for Infinity Ward to at least acknowledge the disbanding lobbies portion of SBMM, that's kind of a step in the right direction, but it's likely not going to make a difference in what anybody else thinks or feels about SBMM. And eventually, and this has happened multiple times, so I'm not just throwing out theories out of nothing, I'm telling you guys from experience, eventually people will get annoyed of SBMM and they're just not gonna play the game anymore, or at least far less often. There's many solutions here. You can make a ranked playlist and then a casual playlist. You can make it more connection based. You can just lighten the SBMM. But at the end of the day, how many times have we been successful in giving this feedback and then it actually coming back in our favor? Absolutely fucking never. At the end of the day, SBMM comes down to Infinity Ward and Activision. Specifically on Activision because they probably have their own data on how SBMM affects casuals in a positive way and then they earn more money somehow. And as fucked up as it sounds, it's probably the only reason why they actually have it this way. But at the end of the day, the only solution that there actually is for Activision to not be viewing it in that way. Call of Duty used to actually be an enjoyable experience, no matter if you're a noob or if you're the biggest tryhard on the fucking planet, where everything just meshed. No matter what your playstyle was, no matter where your skill level was, you had the opportunity to essentially play with everybody, and eventually if you were one of those noobs, eventually you got better, and maybe you actually started a YouTube channel where you can start ranting and talking about dumb shit, but the gameplay in the background is much better than it used to be when you started playing back in Black Ops 1. Just saying. Unfortunately, Activision simply has like no morals whatsoever, and money comes before anything for them. And the truth of the matter is, we're just gonna have to deal with SBMM the way it is. Even if you happen to have the greatest solution on the planet, 100% of the community agrees. Ultimately, it comes down to Activision and slightly the devs, and maybe it's not the case for you or I, but there are people out there who feel like SBMM will legitimately kill Modern Warfare 2's experience for them, and that blows cock. But that's gonna do it for me today, guys. I'm curious to know what you guys think about this. If there's any chance in hell that Activision can do something about SBMM, do you think it would actually improve Modern Warfare 2's quality as a game? Let me know down in the comments below, and if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell notifications to stay up to date with my newest videos, and yeah guys, it's been the SCATMASTER. Have yourselves a good one. I'm out this shit.
It's been a very long time since the weekend. It's been a very long time and I'm weak.